Do you find that by the time a case has come to you or to the police, it's not an isolated incident? There's been a pattern of abuse before the authorities have become involved or before lawyers have become involved.
Absolutely.
Say more, please.
So within a private, I do less injunction work now than I did previously, because since 2020, I have been practicing more so in public law children proceedings. But prior to 2020, I did extensive work relating to domestic abuse, extensive. And the majority of my cases were ladies who had come to me, first timers. I'd never seen them before. They had never seen a solicitor before. And when I did domestic violence work, my first question would be, can you tell me about the very first incident of domestic abuse that you were subjected to? And that, the response to that would take us back several years before. I would then ask, what was the worst incident of domestic abuse? And then, when was the last incident of domestic abuse? And it was usually the last incident which had triggered the attendance. So it was very unrare, or it was very, yes, it wasn't the norm for a client who had come to see me to seek an injunction who had one isolated incident of domestic abuse. There was a catalogue, a culminative effect, which had resulted in the appointment.
I'll agree with that. During my time as a police officer, I never saw, especially from the South Asian community, a lady step forward and say, I'm a victim of domestic abuse after a single isolated incident. It'd always been a lengthy catalogue of abuse, sometimes quite serious, before they got the police involved or got the authorities involved.
What I also found was, when we talked about, and for me it was very important to get a rounded picture. And the first question, or one of the first questions being, can you tell me about the first time you were subjected to violence? And I would be told of the incident in much detail as could be remembered. And then I would say, and then what happened after? And it was, well, he was very sorry. He apologized. He cried. He promised it wouldn't happen again. And that was the usual answer. And I hoped that he was telling the truth. He was very sorry, and I believed him. And that was what I was usually faced with. That is what I usually got by way of response.
In your experience, did that ever come true where a lady's come to the authorities or to the solicitors and asked for support, withdrawn her complaints ultimately, and then the violence has stopped? Do they ever stop, serial abusers?
I don't know, because they will never have, I don't know whether it has or it hasn't stopped. Because if the only way I know it hasn't stopped is because they have come back to me, or maybe they haven't come back to me, they've gone to another solicitor, and coincidentally I've seen them at court with another solicitor. And when you see, or when I see a client at court, whether it's if it was a client that I'd advised in previous years, then the assumption is something's gone awry. And my advice was always, if a client opted to withdraw her case, those are her instructions. I cannot force her to continue. I have to work in accordance with what I am being instructed with. But I would always say, if this doesn't work out in the way that you hope, then I am here. I am not here to judge you. I am not here to say to you, I told you so. You come back and we will pick up.